Hello there.
Baby Yoda. We've all fallen in love with you pretty damn quickly, but I have questions. The child, his official name on the Mandalorian until we learn otherwise, is 50 years old. Let me tell you why this doesn't make any sense to me, and as much as I love the Mandalorian, I am going to criticize it. That's part of being a fan, as long as you don't insult others for not being as critical of something as yourself. Staying on topic though, the child, or Baby Yoda, being 50 years old, does raise some questions. Now, we know that the child is the same species as Yoda, and that species can live damn near close to 1,000 years. They even mention in the first episode that not all species evolve the same, or at the same rate. Even with that information, some things still don't quite line up. Since we are only aware of 3 members of this species, the child, Yoda, and Yaddle, we have to examine this based on our limited information of the species. Since we know very little about Yaddle, besides that she served as a Jedi Master on the Council during the invasion of Naboo and was born sometime around 450 BBY, before the Battle of Yavin, this only leaves us Yoda to compare to the child's growth rate. So what do we know about Yoda? We know he died right about the age of 900 during the events of Return of the Jedi. We know that when he was seeking his own counsel on whether or not Luke was to be trained, that he had trained Jedi for 800 years. We can assume that's an approximate, but for our purposes we'll just go with this rounded off number. This means that Yoda has been training Jedi since he was 100 years old. It could also be assumed from what we know of how the Jedi Council operates, that from youngling to master takes about 30 years on average. Now, we know Yoda, or any member of his species, is far from average. So for the sake of argument, let's say it took Yoda only 20 years to achieve such a milestone. This would mean that Yoda, if he was still in the infantile stage of his life at 50, would have gone from infant to fully mature in 20 years. And that's where the question comes in. Does the species of Baby Yoda mature at different rates throughout its growth period? I know, it seems like I'm splitting hairs, but it actually excites me to talk about this because what we're doing right now is contemplating Star Wars lore. If you're a fan of the original trilogy, there's over 40 years worth of materials and discussions to enlighten us to the ways things work in that galaxy. If you jumped on this train with the prequels, there's still over 20 years worth of materials and discussions, books, comics. Yes, Kathleen, they do exist, about the lore of Star Wars. But with one simple statement, Baby Yoda is 50, here we are in the here and now, trying to figure out how Baby Yoda is going to go from infant at 50 to fully mature at 70 to 80. It seems more viable that at 50 he'd be closer to adolescence or even into the stages of early maturity, even if not fully grown. And for right now, it remains a mystery. Thanks to Jon Favreau, who actually understands that mystery is pointless without payoff, we will have an answer eventually. But for now, it's got us asking the questions. It's got we, those who still love Star Wars regardless of Disney's, interpretation of the Skywalker saga, discussing the new things we love in this galaxy far, far away. Guys, tell me in the comments what you think about the aging of this species. Does it make sense to you and I'm just missing something? Do you have the same questions I do, but maybe you have a way to justify it? I'd love to hear from you. This is James, also known as the Dark Knight of Thrones, signing out of DKOT Star Wars, but remember, no matter what some corporation does to their property, the Force will be with you. Always.